seen?
We've done the pottery and we've done the sand art.
Oh, I love sand paintings. Do we have any sand paintings in here?
Nope.
I have one at home. My mother and father live in Arizona, and my mother's great-great-grandmother was an Indian monk. So all this kind of stuff we're teaching you today is really a part of my family's history, and my mom has a lot of this stuff in her home. So it's kind of fun for me to be here and share some of this with you. Okay. I have 2 words I want to share with you. First one is docent. Have you ever heard of that word before?
Yeah.
What is it? Do you know? No. Well, I never heard that word until I was in college, I think. I think I was 18. My mom came home and said she was going to be a docent. A docent is a museum teacher. Okay? So that's what all of us here are today. 4 of us that are here used to be school teachers. 3 of them taught 4th grade. I taught 7th grade. And 1 of us plays in a rock band. Cool, huh? Yeah, you'll have to guess and see if you can think which one of us it is. Of course, you know it's not me because I just told you I was a teacher. Okay, we're going to learn about a skill that is oftentimes today thought of as an art, and that's weaving. Now, you've seen this map before in your other stations, right?
Yeah.
Okay, the Pueblo Indians were the ones that had established the weaving tradition. When the Spanish came over, explorers and stuff, they saw how good they were at doing weaving, and they wanted to enslave the Indians and make them do it for them. Of course, they didn't like that very much. And at that time, the Pueblo men were the ones who were the expert weavers. And you can see over here where it says Pueblo, over here, that's where the Pueblo Indians lived. So they wanted to get away from the Spanish, and they went up into what's on the map here is the Navajo Nation. And they asked the Navajos to protect and help them. And as a result of these 2 different Indian tribes living close amongst each other, they shared their traditions and skills. And so what ultimately has happened is the Navajos have adapted and taken over what we call today the weaving skill. So when we look at weaving like this, we usually think of the Navajo Nation. Now, you're going to study baskets. You can see baskets here in this teacher. Baskets, are they made out of plant fibers or animal fibers? What would you guess? In the back.
Plant.
Plant, yeah, they usually are. Okay, what about blankets and rugs? What do you think? Plant fibers or animal fibers?
Animal.
Well, what kind of an animal? Back row.
Me?
Yeah.
Buffaloes.
Well, it could be buffalo, but usually, instead of weaving, you probably see the whole buffalo hide like this, the wool, the hair, the wool, whatever you want to call it, is still on their skin. Okay?
That's cool.
It is cool. It keeps you warm too. Can you think of another animal?
Sheep.
Sheep. You're absolutely right. That's what we're going. What do you call sheep animal fiber?
Wool.
Ew. Wool. You're right. Now, I told you that it's the Navajo women who, in the Navajo tribe, are the expert weavers. Most of the women who are weavers start learning how to do this when they're way younger than you guys. So it's a skill that takes a long time to develop and practice. The Spanish brought over a different kind of sheep than what the Indians had here. Now this looks like the sheep my grandpa had in his farm. This is the kind of sheep the Spanish brought over. What's the biggest difference you see? in the back row?
The other one is taller and is much uglier.
I think his mother thinks he's beautiful, or she is. What else?
The fur is different.
Right, it's a lot longer, isn't it? Okay, this is called a churro sheep. Okay? And that's the kind of wool that this is right here. And wool is a really good thing to use for weaving. The wool has natural oils called lanolins in it that help waterproof it. So it'll, even when it's wet, it will keep you warm. So if you needed a blanket or sweater or some kind of clothes, this would be a good thing to use. But it's kind of hard to make it into something when it's still stuck on the sheep, isn't it? So you have to get it off. And when you want to take the wool off of a sheep, it's called shearing. And these are sheep shears. Old-fashioned sheep shears.
They're like knives.
That's right. These are really sharp, and you have to practice to be able to do this well. I'll pass these pictures around so you can see it. Nowadays, they use electric sheep shears.
Yeah, I saw those.
You'd have to be strong and easy. Now, does it hurt when you get your hair cut?
No. It
only
hurts
hurts
when they have to use a razor on my hair.
Yeah, unless they nick your skin or something.
Yeah, that
Okay,
hurts.
so it doesn't hurt the sheep to have their wool cut off unless you nick them. Yeah, those are pretty scary. But the sheep get shears in the late spring before it gets really hot in the summer. And they've been out in the desert their whole life or the whole winter, and they have dirt and seeds and bugs and stuff in their wool. So once it's cut off, kind of looks like this or this. You have to get the seeds out of it and the dirt. And you do that by what they call carding the wool. And these are carding paddles. And you put a chunk of the wool that you've cut off there, and you just pull it back and forth like this, and it helps to get the seeds out, the dirt out, and it helps to also lengthen out the fibers. And when you're done, you can just, this is better last time, just pull it off like that. I mean, remember, we're talking about the Navajos that are out in the desert. This is a picture of a Navajo woman who is carding the wool that's just been sheared off the sheep. Okay? Now I'll pass these along, but you take a look at the picture and pass it quickly so everybody can get a chance to see it.
Logan, hurry. No,
Carded wool is still not in a form that you can weave with. So you have to do something to turn it into yarn. And here's yarn. That was wool that was spun into the yarn. And how you do that? Well, this is a spinning tool called a spindle. And this, once again, this is wool that's been carded, that's been spun into a little thread. You can see two different colors there. They're tied together. This is something that is a very skilled. I'm going to show you these pictures of these different Navajo women spinning the wool into yarn on that little spindle. No electricity, no Kmart. Here you go. Here's a couple of other pictures of women doing the same thing. And you can see this woman already has her rug on her loom. She maybe just needed more yarn. Now, let's say the lady who's making a rug doesn't want it to be this color. There's black and gray and brown and tan. What if you wanted to make a rug that had these kind of colors in it?
Whoa.
There's no Kmart, no Walmart, no Michaels. How are you going to get the colors for your yarn? You do. And where are you going to get things to dye them in the desert?
You get clay.
Clay could do it. Have any of you ever seen a red dirt shirt? I tried to buy one so I could show you one, but I wasn't in Arizona long enough. Okay, they use the clay that's red and soak their fibers in it to make it a red dirt shirt. You don't want to wear it with stuff you don't want to get red dirt on. This is a picture of yarns that have been dyed with different plants, flowers, and things that are found in the natural environment to make different colors. Okay? How many of you have ever drank grape juice and spilled it on your shirt?
Oh no, I haven't filled it.
How about cherry juice? What happens?
It stains and
It stains.
and it turns my white shoes.
Yeah, it changes different color. Well, there's no wash machine or anything. If your mom wanted to dye something a different color, she could go to the store, buy liquid or powdered dye, put it in your wash machine, get it all stirred up nice, and then dip whatever she wanted to in the wash machine and wash it. Well, a same procedure, except a little bit different, is how the Native Americans in Southwest do it. They take the plants, thank you, soak them in a big boiling pot of hot water like this until they get the color out of them. And they take the plants out, and then they take their wool, usually probably a lighter colored one, and soak it in the hot pot of boiling colored water to dye the wool.
That's pretty.
It is pretty, isn't it? It's amazing some of the colors you can get. And this picture shows you some yarn that has been dyed with the different colored plants and fibers and stuff. Okay? Well, now that you've got the wool dyed, turned into yarn, I'm going to weave it. The patterns for the designs these Navajo women use for their rugs and blankets is in their head. Now, I can't remember whose room this is, but if you look on the wall over here, there's an example of a Navajo rug. Now, it has a lot of natural color fiber wool in it, but the blue
The green.
and the green are a little bit
And the black and the
different.
gray.
No, this is a museum, but I do have one of these.
No,
No, that's the teacher's. Anyway, this shows you a traditional loom that a Navajo woman would use. She would have her baby with her. And I'll tell you a little bit about this. This is a hand or lap loom. And the threads that run up and down are called the warp threads. And the different color threads you weave in and out to make a pattern are called the weft threads. And you weave them in and out of the warp threads depending on what kind of a pattern you do. And then you have a comb that pushes it down so it's nice and tight. My friend brought this. This is a woven blanket. I forgot to show the other two classes. It's done the same kind of way, except this one was probably done on an electric loom with a pattern that was done on a computer. And this chart shows some different patterns of woven rugs that are there. Now, you guys said you went to sand painting already, right?
Yeah.
Did they tell you about the 4 sacred plants of the Navajo?
Yeah.
The tobacco and corn
Yeah.
and squash and beans? Well, that's oftentimes what you see in as a theme. This one represents corn, okay? Here's a really intricate pattern of a rug. Yeah. Oh, okay, I'm running long again. Anyway, if you find, I'll tell you something I forgot to tell the other kids. Anybody here watch Antiques Roadshow? They have the best commercial I've ever seen. It's on a Navajo Indian rug. Just blue and white stripes, nothing real fancy. Can you guess how much they said it was worth?
$150.
More!
What?
More!
What? About billion?
Not quite that much. $500,000.
What? What?
Okay,